Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode of the Gridiron Glory here with Will and Tad, your host and other host. We're gonna be talking about all things NFL, all 32 teams, as we move from the regular season to the postseason and off season for some of these teams. We're gonna be talking about an NFC West rivalry between the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams. The Seahawks, they win 30 to 25. Unfortunately, they were already eliminated coming into the game, so they do draw even with the Rams in record, both finishing 10 and 7, but the tiebreaker ends up with the Rams by strength of victory. So they had to go down like four, five, six different tiebreakers, and sometimes it just turns out that who you beat matters, I guess. And obviously the Rams, they had that big win earlier against the 14-win Minnesota Vikings, and that was one of the ones that helped carry them. So looking at the Seahawks, they missed the playoffs. They'll get the 18th pick in the NFL draft, not the spot they were hoping to be in. I will say for the Rams, losing this game, it did cost them the 3 seed, so they fall to the 4 seed, and they will be hosting those aforementioned 14-win Vikings. So that's going to be an interesting rematch there. Looking at this football game, Jimmy Garoppolo, the backup, they started the backup quarterback and went to most of their backups in this game. 27 of 41, 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Couldn't quite get the ball into the end zone at the end of the game. They had a chance to win there, and it did not quite work out. So after seeing this start from Jimmy Garoppolo, I'd sincerely ask where you rank him amongst the backup quarterbacks in the NFL.
And a veteran, if nothing else, Tad, right? He's a very tenured, serviceable, super solid backup. An absolute stud as a backup quarterback, sir. I mean, the numbers spoke for themselves.
I mean, the numbers spoke for themselves, including the number one in the loss column by his name this year. And I mean, that's an unfortunate way to go out. But yeah, they just wanted to give some backups a chance. I will say, very unfortunate injury in this game to Blake Corum, their running back, the rookie out of Michigan, and he's gonna miss the playoffs. They have to put him on IR after his issue with this forearm, so that's gonna end his season. So you definitely don't want to see that in a game like this. But other than that, I mean, the Rams, they'll be looking forward to the playoffs. And I mean, as I said, I mean, it's gonna be a big game for me personally, seeing that. I mean, I'm a Vikings fan, obviously, so we'll see how that goes, how my team matches up with them. But I mean, the Rams, they'll be a force. They beat us in the regular season, so should be an exciting game there, and the Rams will be all wheels go. So
The Rams will be all wheels go. It's going to be an exciting game of football there for the Rams. It really does suck for the Seahawks because, I mean, you do what you're supposed to do. You go out there and win that game, and you still miss the playoffs. Just a very tough break for the Seattle Seahawks.
yeah,
An
indeed, a
extremely,
tough
an
break.
extremely tough break, Tad.
I mean, you go out, you win 10 games, you go 7-1 on the road. You don't see like generally with Seattle with the home field advantage they have. If you can only lose one game on the road, you'd expect to do a lot better than 3-6 at home. I mean, that might be one of the most shocking things I've seen all year, that the Seahawks, they only win 3 home games. But I mean, in the end, I mean, it's just they had some performances at home that just left you head scratching a bit. But yeah, overall, I mean, a fairly solid season for Geno Smith, and he closed it out well, 20 of 27, 223, 4 touchdowns. For the seasoned veteran quarterback out of West Virginia. So he finishes fourth in the league in passing yards, 4,320 yards, the 21 touchdowns. Did throw a lot of interceptions. The 15 interceptions is you definitely want to see that number be a bit lower. That was the most interceptions he's thrown in a season since his rookie year with the Jets. So definitely not what you were hoping for from a turnover perspective. But
No, and
overall,
on that
Solid.
note, sorry, on that note, Tad,
Go on.
we're talking about the Seattle offense. They did fire their offensive coordinator.
They did fire their offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb. It was his first year coordinating. He had been with the Washington Huskies, and then obviously a lot of changes there. Now he's out with the Seahawks, so that's a really interesting move there. Not entirely sure the motivation behind it, but yeah, I mean, this is an offense with a lot of potential. I mean, they got a lot of good young pieces. The running back Zach Charbonnet, also Kenny Walker, who was injured in this game, didn't play. You got some exciting receivers. Jackson Smith Najigba, the second year out of Ohio State. It seems he gets better every time he is out there. Obviously the seasoned veteran Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. So I mean, you got some pieces there. I'd say if there was one thing this offense could improve in the offseason, it'd be the offensive line, perhaps. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's going to be interesting. And then perhaps developing a plan for after Geno Smith is gone because he's not getting any younger at this point. But so that's what I think about when I see their offense. When I see their defense, this defense, I mean, I feel like it needs some star power. Like you need like a top level player. I mean, you got a lot of quality pieces like Kobe Bryant, Ernest Jones the fourth. You got Devon Witherspoon, but you don't have like that one like top level player that can be a difference maker. So maybe that's something they could look at.
yeah. You don't necessarily have that top level player that can be a difference maker. So you got to go out there and maybe take a look at that. Maybe if you can see if you can, develop that side of the football maybe a little bit more. But I mean, nonetheless, I mean, you got just a really tough break for Seattle. I just don't want to sit here and be like, they don't. I mean, you go 10-7. It's like I
Yeah.
mean, just an extremely tough break here.
I mean, yeah, this is not a bad football team. I mean, this is not like some of the other teams we've talked about that have no sense of direction. This is a team that's a competitive football team. And I mean, at this point, they just have to figure out what they can do to extend their competitive window and see if they can take the next step.
Um, yeah, you need to see what you can do to take the next step. You need to see. I mean, it's just. So, according to Pro Football Network, they actually did rate Seattle's offense. They ranked Seattle's offensive line 30th,
Yeah.
and you know, and they real quick it says it is incredible to think how close the Seattle Seahawks came to the playoffs, given the level of play they have been getting from their offensive line. This line is likely a big part of the reason why Ryan Grubb was fired after just 1 year. Charles Cross has been the biggest positive, but the overall group has been a negative for this offense. So I would definitely probably say the biggest thing you need to improve is the offensive line. And it does seem that that was probably the motivation for firing Ryan Grubb, as you mentioned.
Yeah, very possibly there. And I mean, I definitely saw this offensive line coming into the season as not being a particularly strong unit, and they certainly lived up to that billing. And that's like you said, that's a big reason why they will be watching the playoffs from home, unfortunately for them. So
Um,
that's a look they'll need to look at. I mean, and like I said, they have the 18 pick in the draft, so not exactly a premium draft pick, but they'll still have a chance. They can look at free agency. They can look in the draft, see what's available, maybe trade up if they have to.
yeah, maybe trade up if you have to. So it'll just be very interesting to see what comes to play for. I mean, and hopefully maybe for them they can get back into the playoffs next year. But it's just a tough break. And then for the Rams, yeah, that's going to be an exciting game for them against your Vikings at home.
Yeah.
And best of luck to your Vikings against
Well, I thank you,
our
sir.
Rams there.
Yeah, gonna
It's
be
a
gonna
fun
be a big
game.
one. We'll see what happens in that one. Any last thoughts on the Rams and Seahawks before we close this out?
I do not have any other final thoughts or takes on the Rams and
Right.
Seahawks. No.
Thank you everyone for watching. Please continue to like, subscribe, and follow the Gridiron Glories content. As we wrap up the regular season, move into Super Wild Card Weekend this upcoming week. It should be an exciting week of the playoffs, and then obviously continue to follow us throughout the entire playoffs, and then as we go into the off season, look forward to some exciting content to kick off the new league year. Thanks for watching.